This island might look like paradise, but it has a dark side. The islands are infested with invasive plants.
They're sort of out of balance because, like most invasive species, they're imported without the natural controls that they live within their native habitat, their native geographic range. And so when they get to an area like Florida, the climate's great for them, then they have no pests or predators, or very few compared to where their homeland was. They tend to just get out of control and overgrow other things. In the places they came from, they would pretty much be kept in check as part of a balanced system by natural pests and predators. And that's really the problem in places like this, is the fact that they aren't in check really. So like back in 2004, we had 3 hurricanes crisscross Florida. One came not too far from here, north of here, and it knocked over.
Sand and limestone was dredged up from the ocean floor of Tampa Bay to form waterways for boating and commerce. This material was deposited into mounds, forming the dredged spoil islands of Tampa Bay. On these islands, small ecosystems have sprouted over many decades. Due to their small size, they have shown the drastic extent to which invasive species can disrupt the natural environment.
It's kind of rare to see them this big, at least from my experience in Florida, but they've gone unchecked for so long that they've been able to get this big.
An invasive species is a living organism that is introduced to an area outside of its original range and causes harm to the environment and to the health of the ecosystem.
About 20 or 30 years ago, a colleague of mine had an undergraduate student who was doing a thesis down at New College on carrot wood and how it was going to be eventually a problem on islands. And now we're seeing that. You know, decades later, it really is a problem, and we're having to try to nip that in the bud before it gets out of hand. Brazilian pepper, on the other hand, probably is one of the most pervasive in Florida. It's been here for quite a while, probably imported because of the red berries that form near Christmas time. They thought it was a great decorative plant, and it just was too successful. Now covers many thousands of acres that formerly were native habitat in Florida. If it grows on the coast of an island like this near the shore, it won't root where mangroves can in the saltwater, but it'll root upland and grow down over them. Australian pines, they'll grow tall without a taproot because they're not a true pine. They're a hardwood tree, and we get a big storm, some will fall over, and that will destabilize that part of the island, and it will erode. So it's kind of similar problems, but slightly different versions of it. Australian pines, some things will roost in there, but we don't see a lot of nesting in Australian pines. Brazilian pepper will accommodate some nesting bird, but they're probably not as good as native habitat. Organizations like Audubon Society that want us to eventually remove them, they say don't remove them all at once because invasive plants are better habitat for birds and things than no plants at all. So we're trying to take this slowly and phase out the invasives, phase in the natives in a way where we do make progress, but we don't just clear cut an area. So a lot of times if the project if there's no entity there for the long term to do maintenance, then it's a problem. On islands, it's very expensive to stage contractors out here. And to be honest, we've had contractors who didn't do work nearly as accurately as student volunteers and other volunteers. So I find that student volunteers and other volunteers, they're here because they really want to make these changes and make the habitat better. And so they're going to really try to learn which plants need to go and which ones stay and things like that, and the best way to remove the bad ones without harming the good ones. And also because we can bring student groups back year after year to the same place, we can do a little maintenance on the areas that we've already cleared and replanted, and then we could go and clear a new area that needs to have the invasives taken out initially. We're phasing the bad stuff out, phasing the good stuff in, and we're doing it in a way where it's not just all at once, clear cut it and let it go, but we're doing it in a way that's gradual. We make progress, but it's gradual, and we're able to see that. And maybe the people were well intentioned, but we really need to have one cohesive plan and an entity that has the authority to work on that site, to guide that plan, to see that plan is implemented properly. And so it's best to work within a framework of a volunteer network or a volunteer program with some people who are doing this sort of thing long term.